Hey, welcome to the series of everything you need to know about Python in simplest possible way. In our previous videos, while discussing list, we have seen so many important concepts regarding list, right? So as part of that, in this video, we will be knowing one more important concept, which is list comprehension. So what exactly this list comprehension is? So we will be understanding this particular list comprehension and its importance. So how we can understand is that first we will understand the scenario where we don't have any list comprehension. After we will understand how we can embrace this particular list comprehension in order to do the process in the simplest possible way. So let us go ahead and see the scenario where we don't use list comprehension. So for the example that what I will be taking is that we will take a simple example in order to understand it clearly. So for that reason, we will be generating a range of values, let's say from 1 to 10 within a list. Understand carefully within a list itself. So let us go ahead and do that without list comprehension. So in order to do that, first we need to have a list, right? So for that reason, I am taking this particular numbers list. First, initially we will be having an empty list. So after that, using a for loop, we will be generating the numbers in this particular list. So for that, I will use a for loop for I in range. So why I'm doing this is because we need to generate a range of values, right? So for that reason only, I will be using this. So this particular range can also be considered an iterable, right? So for that reason, what I will be doing is that I need to generate the range of values from 1 to 10, right? So for that reason, I will be mentioning 11. By the functionality of this range, we will be stopped at the value 10 itself. So inside of this particular for loop, what I will be doing is that we need to add this particular I. I is nothing but the range of values that we will be getting, right? So we need to add this particular I to this particular number. So in order to do that, we have a specific method which is nothing but append. So this append, what it does is that it will add the element at the end of the list. So we will be knowing and understanding more clearly about append and all of the related methods in our coming video. For the time being, understand this particular append will add element at the end of the list. So for that reason, I am append numbers. This is the list, right? So I am taking this particular list and I am adding this. So append this particular I. So that's it. So we have completed this particular for loop. All the elements from this particular range will be added in these particular numbers. So now if I print this particular numbers, if I execute this, we can able to see all the range of values that we are getting from 1 to 10 in a list itself. So though it looks like a smaller code, but we are using in this many number of lines, right? So first we are creating this particular list, which is empty list. After that, each time we are adding this particular element to the list. Each time in each iteration we are adding that, right? So instead of doing this, what we can use is that we can use this particular list comprehension in order to reduce this code, in order to do this process in the simplest possible way. So let us go ahead and see how we can do this process in the list comprehension. So for that, what we need to do is that I will be taking the same example, which is numbers. I will be taking the numbers list here. So instead of having an empty list, what we do, we will be following some process in the this braces itself, so that we can able to generate the list. So we'll be understanding by the example, right? So for that reason, we need to generate the range of values, right? So for that, I will use a for loop in here in this particular list itself. For I in range, we need to generate the range of values from 1 to 10, right? So for that reason, I will be mentioning 1 to 11. So after that, what I will be doing is that this particular for loop will generate the range of values from 1 to 10, right? So I will take this particular element I. In this particular element I itself, we will be having all the values of this particular range, right? So I will just put this particular I at the beginning of this particular for loop. So after that, what I will be doing is that I will print this particular numbers here. So I will be printing these particular numbers, and if I execute this, you can able to see we are getting the same result, and we are doing all the process in the single line itself. So you might be having some confusion this particular numbers is using, right? So for that reason, I will use this particular nums here, and here also I will take nums, and if I execute this, still we are getting the same list here. So how we are doing is that we are doing all the process within this particular list itself. So this kind of a process that we will be doing is considered as list comprehension. List comprehension means concising this particular code and putting all the code in within the list itself. So by doing so, we can generate a list in the list itself. Instead of having this particular empty list and processing that particular list, we can do all the process within the list itself and we can generate the list. So inside of this particular list comprehension, we can use for loop and we can use any iterable. So this range is also considered as iterable, right? So for that reason only, we are able to generate this range of values from 1 to 10. So let us go ahead and do and understand with one more example. Let's say I wanted to generate the range of values. The range of values are even numbers. So even numbers from 1 to 20. So I need to generate that. So if you follow the same process, first we will be understanding with the same process, right? So without having the list comprehension, I will be taking the same code itself so that we can able to do the process quickly. So here I am putting the range of values from 1 to 21 so that we can able to get the numbers from 1 to 20. So why I'm taking 20, 21? Because in order to differentiate the previous example. So instead of this, what I will be doing is that we need to get only, let's say, even numbers from 1 to 20. So for that reason, we need to mention one more condition, right? So that is what I will be mentioning here. If I, this particular I that we will be getting within this range, modulo divisible by 2 and equal to 0, by this condition, what we are saying is that if this particular I is even, what we do, we need to add this particular elements to this particular numbers list. So I will take the different name here. Let's say even nums here. So here also I will take even nums, and here I will print even nums here. So now if I execute this, we can able to see all the even numbers that are present inside of a list. So what we are doing, how we are doing is that we are following the old procedure, which is having an empty list, and after that we are generating the range of values, and again we are checking a condition, and after that we are adding the elements to the list, right? So this is the old procedure. So how we can do this? By using the list comprehension. Let us go ahead and see. So here I will be taking the same example. We will be generating the list, right? So within the list comprehension, so that you can able to understand more clearly. So I will be taking this particular even numbers. So here I am taking even nums. Here I am taking even numbers. Doing is because of differentiating the examples. So here I will be taking a list. So you know, right? We will be doing all the process within the list itself. So what we need to do? We need to generate a range of values for I in range from 1 till 21, so that we can able to get the range of values 1 to 20. So after this, so previously we just need to mention I at the beginning, right? So now what I will be doing is that instead of mentioning I, we want all the even numbers, right? So for that reason, after this particular for loop, I will be mentioning the condition. So if this particular I that what we are getting from this range, modulo divisible by 2 equal to 0. So I'm mentioning a condition after this particular for loop. So after that, what I will be doing is that I will mention this particular I at the beginning itself. So whatever your process doing in this particular list comprehension, the result need to be mentioned at the beginning of the list itself. So after that, I will just print this particular even numbers here. So I'm printing even numbers. So now if I execute this, you can able to see the same result that what we are getting, this range of even range of values from 1 to 20 by just using this particular list comprehension and mentioning everything within the list itself. So I hope by this you can able to understand how we can effectively use this particular list comprehension in order to mention the iterable, the for loop, the conditions, everything for that matter within the list itself, so that you don't need to do this whole process to generate the list, right? So I hope you can able to understand. Apart from this particular range of values, we can mention any attribute for that matter. We have different attributes, right? So list is attribute, tuple is attribute, set is attribute, string is an attribute. Like that, we can mention any attribute that we wanted in this particular for loop, and in this particular list comprehension, we can able to do the process. So what I will be doing is that I will take one more list, and in that list I will be considering some positive numbers and some negative numbers. And at the end, what we will be doing is that we will generate a new list with the positive numbers using list comprehension. Let us go ahead and see how we can do that. So for that matter, I am taking this particular numbers list, and inside of this particular numbers list, I will consider 1, -1, 3, -2, 4, -5. Like this, I am having some positive numbers and some negative numbers. So what I will be doing now is that I will take this particular pos num. This is just a variable, and after that, what I will be doing, I will be using list comprehension in order to generate all the positive numbers. You can generate the negative numbers as well. So to generate positive numbers, what I will be doing, we need to iterate through this particular list, right? So that is what I will be doing now. For num, so I will take num here. This num will be iterating this particular numbers. So for num in numbers, what I need to check, we need to check a condition, right? Whether this particular num is coming from this numbers is positive or not. So for that reason, I am mentioning an if condition, and if that if condition, I am mentioning if number, this particular num greater than 0, what I will be doing, I will just mention this particular num at the beginning. So after that, I will just print this particular was positive num here. So now if I execute this, we can able to get only positive integers from this particular list. So that is what we have expected, right? So by using this particular list comprehension, like this, we can simplify all our work and all our code in just a single line, and we can generate a list here. So this is a list, right? So instead of mentioning a empty list and processing it and adding the element to the list, we can do this particular list comprehension in order to do all the things within the list itself. So I hope you can able to understand how we can use this particular list comprehension in order to make our code concise and in order to make the process simpler. So if you found this video interesting, hit the like button. In the next video, we will be discussing more methods that we have in list in order to manipulate list. So thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.